political script flipped in Kitengela. Kitengela did not whisper, it roared, and in that roar, a message was delivered, not just to ODM insiders, but to State House itself. The base is restless, the ground is shifting, and the opposition is not as fractured as some had calculated. By 2 p.m. on Sunday, one chant had swallowed the whole town. Sisi ndiye Sifuna, not a slogan, a declaration. What was bullied as a routine Linda Mwananchi rally transformed into a high-stakes power display led by ODM Secretary General Edwin Sifuna. And if optics are currency in Kenyan politics, Kitengela printed money today. Fresh from a church service at ACK St. Peter's or Keju, the convoy rolled into Kitengela CBD. Red flooded the streets. ODM colors weren't dropped lazily over hired crowds. They were worn with intent. You could see it in the posture, in the raised fists, in the uncoordinated but thunderous chant, Sisi ndiye Sifuna. Crowd politics in Kenya is rarely accidental. It is organized, financed, choreographed, but this one had a different texture, less stage managed, more combustible, and that is precisely what has alarmed the establishment. On stage stood a lineup that read like a declaration of resistance. Edwin Sifuna, embattled but unbowed. Babu Owino, Embakasi East perennial political street fighter. James Orengo, Siaya governor, legal tactician, veteran of opposition wars. Godfrey Osotsi, Vihiga senator and calculated strategist. Caleb Amisi, youthful, sharp, unapologetic. Richard Onyonka, Kisii senator. Okongo Omogeni, Nyamira senator, and a cluster of MPs and grassroots organizers who have made a choice. People over palace proximity. Now, strip away the theatrics and analyze the subtext. 15 million is not just a number. It is a voter block. It is the arithmetic of defiance. It is a reminder that ODM's power has always been anchored in the street, not the boardroom. And here lies the intellectual irony. Kenyan political history teaches us that opposition parties collapse not from outside attacks, but from internal fractures amplified by proximity to power. Today, Kitengela attempted to reverse that script, to reframe the split not as weakness, but as purification. But politics is not poetry, it is optics. In modern Kenyan politics, perception outruns policy, and the perception today was brutal. Kitengela was packed. Tononoka struggled. Does crowd size determine political legitimacy? Not always. But in a party born in the furnace of mass mobilization, numbers matter, optics matter, noise matters. ODM was built on the politics of visible grievance, bodies in streets, Chants in unison, red flooding public squares. If one faction controls the logo but another commands the street, the battle becomes existential. By late afternoon, the political math had shifted. State House strategists who may have believed ODM was sufficiently neutralized through internal rearrangements now faces a more complicated question. A divided opposition is manageable. A defiant faction with street energy is volatile, and volatility is dangerous in an election cycle inching toward 2027. Let's be clear, this was not just about Sifuna, it was about ownership of narrative. Who speaks for ODM? Who inherits the opposition mantle? Who commands the base? Suggested that legitimacy may no longer flow automatically from titles but from turnout, and he is where the intellectual twist sharpens. ODM's historical strength has been charismatic centralization, one towering figure commanding loyalty. What Kitengela hinted at, the decentralization of defiance, Sisi ndio Sifuna, is less about a man and more about multiplication. It transforms a leader into a symbol, and symbols are harder to suspend. Meanwhile, the Oburu-led faction faces a communications crisis because politics at its core is theater backed by organization. If your stage looks empty, your script collapses. Today, Kitengela reminded the country that political legitimacy in Kenya is still tested in public squares, and right now, one faction believes it owns that square. Kenya is watching. Drop your comment. Newsroom, Maisha TV, Mesh Msimbi.